Well, don't laugh. We pour tens of dollars into that graphic. Today's BS alert concerns the following. Gas prices soaring, and this guy gets a pass. Exact same thing happened to his predecessor, and let's just say he did not get a pass. Now, I'm not saying one is right and one is wrong. But if your standard is fury at the White House over rising gas prices, then shouldn't you go after both? Not when it comes to a mainstream media and the collective powers that be in Washington, who would sooner ignore a 34-day spike in gas prices now, twice as bad as the comparatively minor spike in prices that created a virtual uproar then, to former Alabama Congressman Arthur Davis. Arthur, it is weird. That's all I'll say. It's weird. What do you make of it?
Well, Neil, good afternoon. I don't think it's any huge surprise to a lot of folks in your audience that there are two different worlds. There's the one the mainstream media and many of the newspapers in this country tell us about, and there's the one that millions of Americans are living day in and day out. The reality is that you mentioned one very good example, how gas prices were covered under Bush as opposed to Obama. There are so many other economic examples. Let's not forget the fact that over a 4-year period, President Obama's job creation total, when you take out the jobs lost and subtract them from the job gains, was a net of 28,000. Well, every 5 days in this economy, roughly that many people come into the workforce. In 4 years, he created enough jobs to fill a week's worth of new job applicants in the United States. President Bush had better job numbers than that. Candidly, they weren't great job numbers, but there were better job numbers than that. And we all remember, particularly in 2003 and 2004, that we heard all this talk about the jobless Bush recovery. You know, the media, of course, didn't give Obama a free pass on the economy, but they didn't cover the Obama economy with anywhere near the kind of ferocity they covered the Bush economy.
Yeah, all I'm saying is when it comes to this sort of stuff, if you're going to be aggressive on one, be aggressive on all. Sort of like we were raising earlier with the coverage of Jesse Jackson Jr. and, you know, all of his problems. If you're going to go after Republicans and their improprieties, you might as well go with equal zeal covering Democrats and theirs. I'm not saying that that's the answer, but consistency certainly is a good way to start. But on the economy stuff, I mean, we are led to believe that we are in the middle of a gangbusters recovery when, in fact, even to date, we're still net jobs down under this administration, to say nothing of not even keeping up with the increase in population that you astutely pointed out. But I wonder, as I see this going forward some years, whether even in coverage of the whole sequestration, right? It's Republicans being intransigent, wanting to control spending, and not Democrats who seem to be equally zealous, not wanting to control reining it in. I'm just saying what's good for the goose ought to be good for the gander.
Well, Neil, let's pick up on that point. What's happening with sequestration, and a couple of your guests earlier alluded to this, President Obama has a political strategy. This is Act 3 in a 3-part play. 2 years ago, when the debt ceiling debate happened, President Obama said, Republicans in Congress, you've got a choice. Either give me what I want, or you're going to get blamed for the economy cratering. We saw Part 2 last December. President Obama said, give me the tax increases that I want, or you're going to be blamed for the economy contracting. Now we see Part 3. Give me the tax increases I want, or you're going to be blamed for sequestration happening next week. It's a political tactic, and I guess that you could argue that it's worked because he got away with it the first 2 times, but sometimes what's smart politics is exactly the opposite kind of governments, and it's irresponsible. So as a practical matter, I don't think any of us know what will happen next week. I would be as surprised as you are if Barack Obama's administration allowed some of the cuts to happen that the president's been talking about the last few days.
Oh, sure.
This is political gamesmanship.
Yeah.
And it's political gamesmanship that's going on while for middle-class Americans, not only the gas prices going up, but they got a hike in their Social Security taxes. And by the way, most Americans, or a good chunk of middle-class Americans, I should say, pay more in FICA than they do in income taxes every month.
Right about that.
Well, President Obama did nothing to renew the hike in FICA taxes. And in addition to that, consumer confidence is starting to slow down again. And everyone in your audience ought to appreciate that. In the last quarter of last year, we had contraction in this economy. we had this economy not just slow down, we had the economy contract.
And we
had
get
to
another
go in
quarter like
reverse.
that this year. We're back in a recession.
We would be literally back in a recession. You saw the housing data today. This is the weakest recovery, and it continues to be the weakest recovery in my lifetime. And I know Democrats like to call that Republican talking points. The reason we keep saying it is it keeps being the reality.
Yeah.
And we all know that if John McCain had won 4 years ago and had a recovery this miserly, we would be hearing about the pathetic McCain recovery.
Well, we never got to that. Artur Davis, thank you. Good seeing you again.
Thank you, Neil.